live. I got a big heart, I can let you in. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, on top of the world. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, on top of the world. People ask me what my secret is, I just smile and say, live for today. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the sun came up and I gotta say, see it in a whole new way. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, yeah, on top of the world, yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, yeah, on top of the world, yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. People ask me what my secret is. On top of the world, I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Ask me what my secret is. On top of the world, I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, yeah, yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, yeah, yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, yeah, yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world.
What's going on, Calgary? How's everybody doing today? I was just trying to fix a couple things. I can't, for some reason, the comments are not coming in, so just bear with me. Hopefully we'll get that fixed as we get started here. And I'll try and log in here if I don't see them come through and try and answer some questions. But what are we going to talk about today? Well, is selling a good financial move right now? And how is the market in November? What's everybody up to this time of the year? That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to cover. And I'm going to give you an overall update on last month's housing market. By the way, if you're watching this with me live right now, or if you're watching the replay, I'm curious. There was an announcement earlier today by Kenny around 4 o'clock with some more restrictions here for us in Calgary. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Leave me a comment below. Just say I agree, I disagree. We should have done this, a month ago already. I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think of it. And if we haven't met yet, if you and I have not met or we don't know each other, my friends call me Mike Kaboo, and I'm a real estate advisor with Remax Realty Professionals. And I'm a fanatic when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales and negotiating. And through that, I help families buy, sell, and invest in real estate here in the Calgary area. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Any questions you have, leave them in the comments, and I'll try and get to them throughout, definitely at the end. And as long as we can see the comments come through, seems to be a little glitch, but hopefully we'll get it fixed. If not, I'll definitely get to them after the show. This is a local stream, and welcome everyone. Now, before we dive into the housing market, I wanted to just mention a couple of items to go over. A little bit over a month ago, I started a 2,500 cash giveaway. And I mean, the reason for doing it is, I've been blessed, very grateful that I've had, very successful last few months, unlike a lot of other industries in Calgary. And I just wanted to give back a little bit. So I started a 2,500 cash giveaway where I was picking a winner every 2 weeks to win $500 in cash. Our first winner was Medusa. Our second winner was actually Alex. And our last winner was Deanna, whose husband, by the way, interesting enough, is the leaderboard, but surprisingly, she ended up winning. So, but maybe better luck for him next time. Congrats again to the three of you. And the next draw is this coming Friday. So, and the last one that we'll be doing is on Christmas Day. So if you haven't entered yet, make sure to go ahead to mygiveaway.ca, watch the video on that page, just so you can understand why I was doing this. Enter your details in there, and then make sure to confirm your information. We don't want any shenanigans and a bunch of people entering that we don't know. And once you confirm your information, you'll be in the draw, and all the best to you this coming Friday and on Christmas Day, which is the last one. Next is about this show, the local stream. So I was doing something similar to this in my private group. I get together with a bunch of entrepreneurs. I've been doing that for a long time, and thought it would be great to do a live one publicly where I'll cover some updates on the Calgary housing market. Any headlines or news items that I feel are important or that maybe you want to bring up, you can always send me a message. Answer any questions you guys have. Really, at the end of the day, just visit virtually with everyone here. And the plan is in the new year, I have a lineup of some guests to come on as well. And we'll talk about everything and anything that has to do with Calgary. Some business owners to come out and talk about their business and promote it and tell you a little bit about it, as well as mortgage brokers and some people in the real estate industry to answer some specific questions that you might have. But and in regards when we're planning to go live, I was thinking initially that we'll go live every second Friday at 10 a.m. I'm considering a change. It's not set in stone yet, but maybe like a 7 p.m. on a Monday, every second Monday might work best. And the plan is to go live on YouTube and Facebook, although in the last show, the first one, I went live on YouTube and I was able to get the comments through here, but we'll have to figure that out. I can't seem to get your questions and comments to come through, so we'll have to fix that, but we'll get that sorted out. So make sure to stay tuned for a proper schedule and time moving forward as well too. I'd love to see who's on, and let me see here if I can get up. Just bear with me 1 second. So I see we have Blake here. Blake says hello. Hi Blake, nice to hear from you and see you, as well as Paul. It says hi Mike, just letting dinner digest and looking forward to your session. Awesome, nice to see you here, Paul. And what he says is Kenny should have done this latest move over a month ago, and I agree with you, Paul. I think it seemed to be a little bit staggered response. If you did it earlier, then you'd help our healthcare system, and we might have been able to enjoy Christmas with some family. And again, he says to slow on the draw as a cowboy. So yeah, that's great. So I'll keep this open. I'll keep checking for comments. Usually I'll put them on the screen and share them with you guys, but for some reason we're having a little bit of a glitch right now, but which is fine. That's part of technology, right? I've been in it for 20 years with online and technology, and there's always something doesn't always go right. So I want to welcome everyone here, and I know this time of the year I call it the sit and relax season, and just wanted to share a couple of things with you. Now, what do I mean by that? For the entire month of December and most of the time into the first week of January, we all tend to sit back, we tend to relax, put our feet up, and if you work hard all year round, I mean, rightfully so. And really get into the holiday mode of Christmas and New Year's. You know, we eat more, we stay up late, we sleep in, we get into lazy time. And probably for about, I think 90% of people get like that this time of year. And for me, I mean, I've always loved Christmas. I love good food any time of the year, really. I love families getting together, even though that's going to be, a restriction this time around. As well as visiting and entertaining, and even the odd arguing. And trust me, we get a bit of that in my family on both sides, my wife's and my side. So not sure what this season would look like exactly. I mean, I think everybody's going to keep to themselves, and especially with the recent announcements. But we'll have to see how it goes. And as long as we're helping everybody and it's for the right cause, it's okay. We can always get together and have dinner next year. But it's definitely one of my favorite times of the year, and with having 4 kids, I mean, they seem to make it even more special. Now, at the same time, December for me has always been, for many years, a busy time of the year. Time where I plan, time where I review, I put strategies in place, and really get all set up for the year ahead. So get ready for 2021. And I always found that one of the hardest things to do in December, especially in a year like the one we're having, I found the hardest thing for people to do is to look at the goals they set the year prior. Look at their progress, look at their business, their personal plans. And usually, a lot of times it's because they're disappointed or they feel, they never did enough. Maybe they only reached 50 or 60% of their goals. But in my opinion, not looking at it, regardless what you achieved, is definitely a big mistake. The saying is, if you don't look at it and review, then what's going to change? So here's kind of my challenge for you. If you're part of that 90-some% that's taking it easy right now, that's into the holiday mode and spirit and looking to plan, maybe you're waiting for the start of the new year 2021 to start planning, my advice to you is get off your ass. Get off your ass and go look at your last 12 months, study what went right, what went wrong. Look at the surprises that came up, like this virus that we're going through right now as an example, and then make changes. Make changes in your business, in your personal life, plan ahead, and stick to your plan, and make sure to finish this year off strong. So, and if you're listening to me right now or watching the replay, just go ahead and tell me, tell me if you'll be getting off your ass and finishing strong. Just type in yes or no in the comments, or even your thoughts about what I'm saying. I'd really love to hear from you. Great. So having said that, let's now dive into, which is what everybody's on the show usually looking for, is the Calgary market update, and look at some of these numbers for November and compare them to last year, even last month. and you know, figure out where we're at. So it's there's a lot of good, there is a little bit of bad, but let's get into it here. I'll just pull up my slides quickly. So here we are, the Calgary real estate market update, December. So this is reviewing all of November's numbers. And if we go, here we go. So if we look at sales, at overall sales for the month of November, we did 1,437 in sales, and we're up over 25% year over year. I mean, which is great. I mean, the reason we've been consistent the last 6 months is the increase in sales, and that's what's helped us catch up to last year. We're still not on par to what we did last year, but we're definitely inching closer and closer. New listings, 1,724, down just under 7% year over year. Inventory is still down 16% year over year. We're at 5,028, and months of supply was 3.5, again 16% year over year. And if we look at some of the individual, you know, the benchmark and the individual types of properties, and what we did last month, in total residential, we were up 1.6%. Detached is still leading the way and at 2.9%. Now, semi-detached and row were down last year, not last year, last month I meant. So if you look at my last video that I did, that you'll see we're in a negative for semi-detached and row. But for this last month, they did great. So 1.3% for semi-detached and 0.5% for row. Apartments still struggling, so down 1.1%. And if we were to look at the actual benchmark prices, total residential, 423,600. Again, that's up, like we mentioned in the earlier slide. And detached, man, I mean, it's up just under $500,000. Like, we're inching closer to the $500,000 mark. Semi-detached at 395.1 and row at 282.2. And again, those two were down last month. And apartment is down, you know, to 245,500. And let's break it down as well into each category, so you have an idea of what each sector did. So if we look at detached, 26%, 883 sales, and the inventory was down 25%. So, you know, with inventory being low, there's a lot of demand, especially still right now, especially for detached. And I mean, semi-detached, you know, kicked ass this last month. I mean, they were up 50% year over year, 152 units, and inventory is down 32%. So if you own a semi-detached, for example, right now yourself, and you're looking to move up or sell, or you have some plans and you're concerned or you're worried on how to do that, I mean, reach out, let's connect. To give you a recent example, actually, one of my recent clients in Evanston, it was a referral from a past client, and we listed her semi-detached. They tried to sell it last year with another brokerage, another realtor, and they weren't successful. So we ended up selling 5 days before I listed it on MLS, and we did 10,000 above ask. So that was a great example. So if you do own a duplex, a semi-detached that you're looking to sell, I mean, if you look at the numbers, this is a great time to consider listing now or into the winter months. If we look at row, up 24%, 191 units sold, and inventory is still down 8%. Apartments did actually better than last couple months. So sales were up 12%, 211 units, which is a good sign. But at the same time, the inventory is still increasing. And this is apartments has been struggling for a bit. If we look at the last few months, you'll see that numbers of sales are usually down and the inventory is still creeping up. So just so you have a little bit of an idea. And I did it side by side. So I showed this in the last update. So the one on the left is the one from last month, and this shows you, and the one on the right is from November, and this shows you the benchmark pricing and whether it was up or down for each sector in Calgary. Now, in my opinion, the Northwest always does really well, as well as the Southeast sector. I mean, the turnover rate, the movement seems to be really good. The city, the core, is below 50%. And when I say below 50%, I mean, like, so for every 10 properties that list, only under 5 of them are selling. So that's not really good numbers. When things are doing good, we want to see a number above 70%. So that's where southeast and north and northwest of Calgary usually they do really well. Some communities are even above 80%, which is incredible, especially with everything that's going on. So this hopefully gives you a really good idea, in terms of what's high in demand, what's selling, and what the different sectors in Calgary look like. So let's just break for a second here, see if there's any questions or any comments. Again, this is a little bit of a pain today. I'll have to get that fixed and see what's going on. So Blake gives us a thumbs up. Record sales, low inventory. Is row townhouse? Yes, Blake. Row housing is townhouses. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So any other questions you have, make sure to leave them. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get onto the Facebook Live to see what comments or questions are getting on there. And, I'll try and get to that definitely after the show and answer any questions that you guys have. Before we continue as well, I wanted to mention, if you are considering, buying or selling, I put out a little guide. It's, things to consider when buying or selling. This is the fall edition, and there'll be one coming out in January. And really what I go over is a little bit of the forecast. So what are some of the things you should consider if you want to buy or sell in that particular season? And, I talk about real estate. I talk about the forecast, some of the numbers, inventory, what's driving sales, things like that. So this would be a really good first step or a great starting point for you if you're starting to think about, where that you want to buy or you want to sell. And if you want me to send you a copy, I can send you a digital copy, but I have still a little over 100 or so, and a physical copy I can mail out to you. Just give me a call or send me a text at 403-809-9386. It's on the screen there, and I'll be happy to send a copy out your way. So I think that's all we have for comments right now. So let's get back to the market update and just kind of give you a little bit of summary of what all of that means to you. Some key takeaways. We know there's a vaccine coming. I think the first lady, and I think it was in the UK, I heard today that first lady taking the vaccine, and then we'll see, how that turns out and what we're getting in Calgary or in Canada, and how that's gonna transition. But so we want to look at some of the key takeaways from this past few months and how the vaccine is going to affect the market. So I would like to start by doing a quick recap, really to gauge what's taken place in the market and go back even to as early as March or April of last year. Things were doing really well. Things were moving quite well. Sales were up throughout the year, especially in the detached single-family homes. And then we get into first quarter of this year, and the overall numbers really were trending in the right direction. With numbers better than what we were having, last year, until of course COVID hits. And when COVID hit, we dropped, drastically, over 63% in sales. And then as soon as things opened up, for the past 6 months now, sales in Calgary and the Calgary market has seen a year-over-year gain and, record high sales, and we've had an incredible recovery. The overall sales though, year-over-year, we're still down about 3%, but without the record-breaking sales in the last 6 months, we wouldn't even be close, and we wouldn't be inching our way, to match at least what we did last year. When it comes to housing inventory, we're down still about 10% to compare to the last 12 months ago. So right now we have fewer homes for sale than we did a year ago. So for example, if you look at a neutral market and you were to increase, the buyers in that market, prices go up. At the same time, if you were to decrease the supply in that market, prices also go up. And that's really what we've seen this past 6 months, with supply being down, and it's what's driving sales right now. So slightly increasing the benchmark prices. There's a lot of home buyers out there right now, especially looking for detached, as I mentioned, semi-detached as well. They're approved, they're ready to go. I mean, I have a list of few buyers that are not liking what's on the MLS and then just waiting for some properties to come on. And what they're doing is they're watching the market daily. We're, want to see what's coming on and making offers on the best available homes. And why is inventory down over 10% in the past 12 months? I mean, it's simple. It's fear. Sellers have been too scared to list their homes for sale right now. And frankly, given some of their individual circumstances and some of the clients that I've talked to, I don't blame them, So all those sellers that have the option, they've set themselves up so they're not in a position where they must sell. They can sell whenever they choose to, and decide when they move. They're going to sell their home. So all these unmotivated sellers, they're choosing to wait and not to sell right now, and until this whole situation gets under control, and then they'll put their homes on the market. So what that means is that this decrease of inventory that we're experiencing right now and that we've seen in the last few months is going to continue, until we get this virus under control. And in fact, in my opinion, I think it might actually get worse over the next couple months, as typically this time of year and into January, inventory levels drop. And even specifically for us in Calgary, with the increased number of cases and with the recent announcement, that inventory level isn't going to rise. So now that also means that once we have the virus under control and the majority of people feel better about going on their daily lives and routines, and as we go into next year and things get better and the vaccine is distributed, we're going to see a spike in inventory in the market. So we're going to see all those sellers that have been waiting for the past year to sell their homes, all sell their homes around the same time. And if we go back to what I was talking about earlier, in a neutral market, and you increase the supply, home prices go down. And this is why understanding, what could happen with the currently available vaccine from Pfizer and Moderna is very important. So if the vaccines are effective and they get to be distributed accordingly throughout, and we're able to pull this off, we could see all those sellers decide to list their home as early as spring next year, and we could see a spike in inventory. The other thing to consider going into next year, and we reviewed this in the last episode. By the way, if you missed the last episode, the replay is on my YouTube channel. You can definitely go there and watch it. And that's the high unemployment rate, especially in Alberta. And that could cause more inventory to come on next year as well. So there's going to be a direct correlation between how effective these vaccines are and how effective we are at distributing them and the inventory in the market. At the same time, there's also going to be a correlation between the inventory in the real estate market and home prices. So as we see a huge increase in inventory, most likely home prices are going to come down. So if you are a home seller considering selling your home, I would definitely watch and take into consideration these vaccines and how it's going to play out. With such low inventory levels and demand for most of the property types right now, I would seriously consider selling right now and into the winter before going into spring. Before going into spring next year and having to compete with everyone else and having to compete with a high inventory level. And this should give you the best chance when it comes to pricing your home. Couple things that we should consider. We know we've got high unemployment, right? I mean, unemployment rate in Alberta is not great. I mean, it's really high. We definitely want to see it to what it was earlier this year, and even those numbers weren't that great. So, but we also know at the same time that consumer spending and confidence is back to levels compared to January to earlier this year. We know that demand and sales are high year over year, especially in the detached sector. Now, we also know that inventory is low, bringing down months of inventory, stabilizing prices in Calgary, and even in some submarkets driving prices up. Now, we know some provinces out east and west of us, prices have ridiculously gone up. Here in Calgary, because of our economy and an unemployment rate and a lot of factors other than that, we've stabilized. It's moved up a point or two, but hasn't jumped in price. We know interest rates is at an all-time low, which is driving buyers into the market and will continue to be low. So as far as all the information we're receiving, that's not going to change anytime soon. And as we get into the winter months here and throughout the remainder of the year, I'm going to stay on top of that as we continue to look at inventory. We can look at interest rates. We can look at supply and demand, unemployment rate. We'll also talk a little bit about equity as well. And I did promise everyone last time that I want to talk a little bit about the housing crash, and I'll try and cover that in the next on the next show in a couple weeks here, definitely before the end of the year, and I'll share my thoughts with you guys. We'll talk specifically about Calgary and then a little bit about the rest of Canada as well too. What I would say right now though is that using all of this information, being out in the market right now, it is very critical. And if you're unsure exactly on what to do or what a next step might look like, you can always reach out to me. Head over to planwithmike.ca. I've set up a special page right there, and really it's for you to go there and then schedule a time with me. What I'd like to know is understand a little bit about your situation, understand where you'd like to go from here, what your plans are, and then offer you some advice. And if the next step makes sense, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. At least you'll have a chance to pick my brain. I'll try and answer some of your questions. And if you go to planwithmike.ca, I've connected my calendar. There's a Let's Get Started button on there. Just click on it and you'll be able to see, and my calendar would be pulled up. Pick a time and date that works for you. Enter your information in there, and then you'll be all set, and we'll get on a call together. So let me just have a quick look here and see if we have any questions. So Blake is saying again, is row equals townhouse? Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna try and see if I can access Facebook and see if there's any questions there as well too. I'd hate to have missed, and I'll try and cover those. Yeah, enter the wrong password. By the way, as I'm pulling this up, I'd love to hear from you. Again, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it on a replay, let me know what you'd like for me to cover. There's a lot of things that I could, that I could cover for you. And anything from, for example, if you're a buyer, you want to know where you can get the best deal, what the top, 3 or top 10 communities in Calgary currently right now, where they have low sales on inventory, so you can go in there and possibly have a chance to negotiate a really good deal. Or if you want to know what the top 10 communities, for sellers, so depending where you live. For example, the recent one I did in Evanston, they're selling at an 83% rate. So, for every 10 homes that list, they're above 8 are selling. So that's really good numbers. So anything like that has to do with the market, with Calgary, what's going on. Also, I want to have a shout out to all the business owners, all the entrepreneurs out there. If there's anything that I could do help you, whether to bring you on the show, and if you want to share kind of what you sell, what you do, what you offer, with everybody. I mean, this is part of the plan to do going into next year. Send me a message. You can always, text me or send me, give me a call, 403-809-9386, or even, go to planwithmike.ca. You can schedule a 15-minute call with me. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your business, and if there's a right fit to bring you on and talk to our audience, I'd be happy to do that. So for right now, I just want to, thank you all for hanging out with me. Let's keep in touch, and we'll be having another show here in a couple weeks. I'm pretty sure I will do it on a Monday, so almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks yesterday. And then we'll try and do it for 7 p.m. as well. I'm gonna keep playing around a little bit with days and timing just to see what works best. And if you wanna let me know, even in your opinion, what's good for you, always leave a comment too. So thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully some of these updates made sense to you. And if you have any questions, always be happy to answer them. Just reach out and let's connect. Have a great evening, everyone.